So what's the most boring song you've ever composed?
Was that sigh specifically saved for our podcast? Did you really?
I was getting into it. I was switching gears.
Oh, from...
It's a weird combination of like, I need to get into entertainer mode, but also like once we've talked for a little bit, usually that feeling goes away entirely and I'm not even trying to be entertaining.
It just turns on.
But there's a certain like just bumpy road that happens in the first 5 to 10 minutes of recording.
Yeah, I feel that. A lot of the time it is a bumpy road. You have to really switch gears. And so I identify with your sigh. I get it.
Yeah.
But I was just...
Which is weird because like I like podcasts. So what's the most boring song you've ever composed?
Was that sigh specifically saved for our podcast? Did you really... I
was getting into it. I was switching gears.
Oh, from...
It's a weird combination of like, I need to get into entertainer mode, but also like once we've talked for a little bit, usually that feeling goes away entirely and I'm not even trying to be entertaining.
It just turns on.
But there's a certain like just bumpy road that happens in the first 5 to 10 minutes of recording.
Yeah, I feel that. A lot of the time it is a bumpy road. You have to really switch gears. And so I identify with your sigh. I get it.
Yeah.
But I was just...
Which is weird because like I like podcast Spencer a lot and I wish that I could maintain that kind of energy in my everyday life.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But it's more difficult than you would think. I'm way more entertaining when I've got a microphone in front of me than I am like in work meetings.
Yeah.
Like eating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I feel sorry for the people that have to deal with me there. My audience they get the best version of me.
Some people don't have an on. Some people just are.
I am envious of those people. Also, it sounds exhausting.
Right.
But if you can get through the day without feeling exhausted and you're like you have your switch flip, that's great. Because I definitely have to flip that switch.
Yeah, man. It doesn't help that this week has been a drag for a lot of people I've talked to. It's just something about this week.
Don't you love it when like the human experience coalesces into one period of time? Like COVID was probably the biggest example of that happening.
Yeah.
But there were times even before and after that where you're just like, I don't know, something about today. I was up on the wrong side of the bed and I just been feeling weird. And then you'll be talking to people and they're like, hey, me too. And it's just like this fun, synced up thing that we're all people and we all go through the same shit together. It's great.
Yeah, it's definitely weird when it happens because it makes me think maybe there is something to the stars and the magnetism.
Yeah,
and
there's an extra layer of reality that maybe we're not privy to that could be out there.
Yeah, it's a super reality like the one that Dragon Ball Z exists in.
Oh, man.
The most boring song I've ever written is the one I'm about to write because I got commissioned to write 3 backgroundy tracks for somebody's game. And they just want like lo-fi, which is a piano and a drum loop. I mean, you've heard the music for this podcast. It's a little more intense. That's what I like doing, is bringing some kind of intensity because I'm a deeply troubled, rage-filled individual. But I can write just a background, whatever. And just by doing that, you know exactly what I'm talking about, kind of music.
Do you treat it any different during the process?
I'm a lot more frustrated because it doesn't come as naturally.
It might take more effort to do the less interesting stuff.
So much more effort. I mean, we ran into this when we were doing the Stars Without Number arc, and I was trying to do all the background, just pads, nonstop, endless pads. And I just kept complaining to you, it takes so long to make these because
it's still it's paying off today. I was using Stars With the Number tracks in some of the latest Tales of Nowhere episodes.
Are you more interested in... We're not talking about DBZ now. I'll just shut up. But let's just fucking talk about DBZ. Okay, that's what we're here for. So why people listen, let's get to the DBZ stuff.
Well, we got are these 2 voicemails the only ones that we've got?
Yes, we have 2 voicemails and we should spend some time listening to them. But after we give a big boy shout out to our top 2 patrons, we got the first one and the second one. Which order is it going to be in today? You never know, but it's... Oh, hang on. Wait, we have 2 of them, and these are the episodes where Fusion happens. So let's come up with the Fusion name for our top 2 patrons.
I feel like it's cheating a little bit because they both have 2 names.
What do you mean?
Spencer Hyatt and Tyler Feuerstein. See, it's cheating.
But yeah, that is cheating. That doesn't make any sense because that just it's like they got married or something and took one another's names.
No, they got opposite married.
They got Divorced? The opposite of married is divorced, I think.
They got married and then divorced, but they took each other's names in the divorce.
Okay, weird. So I think we got Tyler Hyatt and Spencer Feuerstein, right? So it could be just first name.
You got to go like Tyser.
Tyser is exactly what I was thinking, which is really good. Or Spyler.
Spyler's good. I was worried you weren't going to use enough of the Tyler and it would just turn into Spencer again.
And then Feuryat. Spyler Feuryat. That's pretty good. Anyway, thank you. That's your big boy shout out, is where we say your names like a million different times in a bunch of different stupid ways. Now send us a voice
money.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say money.
Fusion email. Fusion voicemail.
I was gonna say if you want to send us voicemails and say these names, and if we can get both y'all to do it, then we'll edit them together. But you don't fucking have to do that. You're already doing so much. Don't worry about that shit.
You don't need extra homework.
Absolutely not. So yeah, voicemail. This one is from MJ again. Thank you very much for reaching out to us again. Super appreciate it. And this one is, well, it's somewhat long. I'm going to try and edit it down a little bit in post. And when I say I mean Spencer, because he's the one editing this episode.
Hey, John and Spencer. This is MJ again. Just finished listening to last week's episode, and I started this week's episode when I heard Spencer finally give the fucking, phone number, because you have it written down nowhere. So can you just, pin it to, your Instagram page or something so I can find it easier when I want to bother you? My favorite part of the show is the stupid non-titles of the episode, so I hope that makes up for Washington's voicemail from last week. I hope I get to meet you guys at a con sometime. We just got done with our con season and we went to 5, but I'm now realizing you guys probably don't live in New England. I'm fumbling. Oh, a question! I've thought of one. Would you guys be doing a watch party for the Dragon Ball Super movie since it comes out in 3 weeks? I just wanted to also say that I get paid on alternate weeks that you guys' podcast comes out, so the excitement of my Friday is either getting paid or getting to listen to your episodes. And pathetically, I am equally excited for both. All right, bye.
Do we want to do a break between the two?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay,
but if the second one is super connected, I'll do it.
I don't even know what the second one says because there's no transcription available. It's so long. Google was like, nah, I'm not going to give you a transcription.
Okay, that's amazing. All right, well then we can talk about the first one really quick. So first of all, MJ, if you can teach me how to pin a comment post in Instagram, that'd be great, because they make it super easy in Twitter, and I actually did that, coincidentally not related to this voicemail. Somebody else asked what the number was, and I was like, well, screw it, we might as well just put it on a profile. And then I couldn't figure out how to add a phone number in Twitter without also adding an address, because it's a long story. But I didn't want to do that, so I just made a post with the phone number and then pinned it to our Twitter. I don't know how to do that in Instagram. I am only a little embarrassed to admit it.
I don't know anything about any of these things, so you know more than I do.
Secondly, thank you. I'm glad that John's nonsense titles impress somebody.
Yay, fuck you. Fuck you. Once in a while, you tell me they're good, all right?
I think you get me more often than not. A few recently, actually, maybe have been your best. You've been honing the craft this entire time.
Yeah, only took 250, right? So you give me 250 darts, I might hit a bullseye once or twice.
How weird is it that everything we do with the podcast, we can legitimately say we've tried this over 200 times?
So weird. It's really
very
odd.
Weird.
I mean, we only have how many episodes now?
It's not too bad, but every episode you have set a title, so that does mean
that's
every
true.
podcast episode you do it 5 times. Anyway, in answer to your second question, John, do you want to go to New England?
Sure, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
I suppose this is a question for the podcast listeners. We have budget to go to a convention, and we don't really know which one to go to. Traditionally, we've gone to the one in Salt Lake City because that's where we both hail from. But this year, we kind of wanted to do something different, and then this year kind of got away from us because I moved across the country, and a number
you
of
could
other
just
things
say
happened.
it. Dragon Con told us they wouldn't take us.
That too. We did apply for Dragon Con, and we're still on the waiting list. So we might find out a week before the convention starts, but that's not enough time. So we ain't going to Dragon Con this year as much as we wanted to. But that means we have this, we have the budget and a slot open where we could potentially travel and go somewhere. It'd be cool to get like a popular but not impossible to get into anime convention or something.
Yeah, if you have any suggestions, let us know. Because I would. What do y'all have, like LobsterCon up there? I would do that. We'll show up at LobsterCon.
When you say con season, is that anime or is that lobster?
I love fucking lobster, and I live in a landlocked state, so any lobster we get is probably 3 weeks old and bad. But if you have any other kind of cons that are pretty cool, I would love to go to a completely unrelated con. Like if they have Carpentry Con and we just show up as this anime podcast, that would be hilarious.
That would be really good.
That would be so on brand for us.
Even if you went anime adjacent, I feel like we'd pick up some people that were fans of Dragon Ball Z. It wouldn't make any sense for us to be there, but I bet we could pick up a couple people that were so impressed that we actually made a booth at this convention.
Is there a con, a convention for conventions?
There's gotta be. There's like, it would probably be super boring, like an event planning convention.
Oh, it would be all marketing
or something like that. Yeah, it'd be really shitty.
If you look at our tiered distribution list at this PowerPoint.
Fuck you. I don't know, like an inventors con or a magic, like a witches convention. I don't know, like just something so random and weird that it would be interesting to be there in any capacity.
Just suggest it for us, whatever it is. I'm totally down for wherever. We were spitballing a while ago about one in London.
You and Eric were like, yes, we're going to go to England for this convention.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think the company can pay for you to do that. Yeah, I would love to go to Europe for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we have any listeners outside of the United States. So.
Aaron from Ireland. We'll go visit Aaron out there in Ireland.
But doesn't he live in Texas, though?
No. Google's transcribe didn't understand his accent. And so when he said Ireland, it thought he said Arlington. So that's why you think he lives in Texas. I'm pretty sure he don't live in Texas.
Oh man, I got to stop paying attention to the Google transcribes.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad this next one doesn't have any, so I can listen to it like a human being instead of a robot.
There was one other thing, and we kind of have to step on the gas if we end up doing something like this.
Watch party?
A watch party for Dragon Ball Superhero sounds really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know where we do it.
Discord.
Oh, you mean like after it's in theaters? I was thinking like while it's in theaters.
No, yeah, I think we'd probably have to do it after.
Yeah, I think a virtual event would probably be the best way to do it. As excited as I would be to like pick a place and go to a theater with fans, that's probably like the next Dragon Ball movie. But I am interested enough. Like I haven't seen Super, and I feel like I should stay a Super virgin up until we do a podcast just to keep my reactions fresh. And it's really heartbreaking to me that John didn't laugh at my Super Virgin joke. But
well, it's way too true. So
I'm so excited by the prospect of Superhero coming out in America, and the fact that we have a Dragon Ball Z podcast. It would feel like a major missed opportunity not to do some kind of like review episode on it or something.
Yeah, that could be fun. Some sort of a live event, even if it's not for the Dragon Ball Super movie, even if it's for that new game. We should definitely do a play of that.
I was actually going to talk to you about that outside of the podcast, but fuck it, we can do it now. It's only like $20.
What?
And it just went on sale for pre-order.
What's it called? Dragon Ball The Breakers.
I think because it's multiplayer only, and they probably don't have a lot of content, but it like is fairly priced because we could get like 1-on-7 online, so it's 8 players total. So we can get like 6 fans in every round.
Yeah,
if more than 6 show up.
So,
thank you, MJ, in part 1 of your voicemail series for motivating us to try to get some live events together. I think we got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Also, there's like a horrible thunderstorm happening here, so if that gets in the recording, consider it atmosphere.
But now on to part 2.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, press play.
Hey again, it's MJ. John, if in post you could please combine it so these 2 voicemails sound like 1 voicemail instead of 2 voicemails, I'd really appreciate that because this is about the amount my embarrassment and anxiety can take. All right, cool. So the thing that I actually remembered that I wanted to call in and talk about from last week was Kai. Did you know it's nearly impossible to find a digital copy of Kai in the U.S.? You have to have the physical copy. It's not anywhere on Funimation or on Crunchyroll or anything. Couldn't even find an illegal version. My fiance, very much like you guys, when he was trying to introduce me to this show, was like, the Saiyan Saga is bad and long, and so is the Frieza Saga. It's somehow worse and longer. So he watched the Kai version of it when he was a teenager, and he's like, the Kai version is so much better. And that is about where the Kai version stops being better. You can find clips of it on YouTube. And the Kai version of the Buu Saga is only like 3 episodes shorter. And instead of having that really dope, really emotional moment between like Piccolo and Vegeta, where it's like, yes, Piccolo very discreetly is like, I don't know what exactly will happen to you, sir, but I don't think it's anything good. He just straight up tells Vegeta he's gonna go to hell. And that was weird and uncomfortable because it just kind of like ruined the whole moment. So yeah, Kai, first like 2 sagas, great. For Cell and Buu, very bad. Very weird tonal shift, and it didn't quite make sense. Thank you. John, if you please combine these 2 voicemails into one, you will be the best. And I'd really appreciate that. But if not, fuck it, no one knows who I am, so make me embarrassed. Okay, bye.
I feel bad talking about part 1 of the voicemail instead of just jumping into part 2, but
I feel like MJ won't give a shit at this point.
That's something that I've been really interested in. This creating a different version of an anime thing is so rare. The only other example that I can think of is Full Metal Alchemist, where they later came out with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Is that what that is?
People correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Full Metal Alchemist came out. It had like a little bit of a backlog, but then it caught up to the manga. So they have filler arcs and stuff. And I think I might be mixing this up with Scott Pilgrim, but I think the ending might be different. And then they did Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is more concise version of the story and also manga accurate, which I don't know all of the changes in Kai. I thought it was just shorter. Maybe there's some additional stuff in there. Who knows? Probably people that have watched it. But I think it's interesting to like tape together an ultimate playlist of your favorite show. It's like you're hacking the system and coming up with the best way to experience something, which I very much enjoy. Nobody's been able to give me a simple, straight answer of how to watch Full Metal Alchemist in this day and age, but I like the idea of getting 2 arcs into Kai and then switching tracks to the original because the animation is better, starting in the Android Saga, and Frieza and Saiyan. Saiyan was okay. I don't remember hating it that much.
No, I didn't mind the same. It was a nice, I guess for us, because we've seen the show, it was a nice like refresher course on what Dragon Ball Z is.
Yeah, it was weird and it was animated poorly, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I remember hating the Frieza saga a lot more because it just kept going.
Yeah,
and it wasn't fun.
So here's the ultimate question that I have then: is the Buu Saga a big old pile of dog shit regardless?
I don't know. I feel like there's been a couple things that I didn't like in this saga. And again, we have like a whole other season after this, so
yeah, it's true.
It's up in the air. But for the most part, I think it's pretty all right. It doesn't suck.
For me, so far, the Buu Saga has been as convoluted as the Namek Saga was boring and dragged out. That's how I feel. But
convoluted doesn't have to mean boring. Whatever the Buu Saga is, I don't think you can say it's not entertaining.
This is the only saga that I think we have pretty different feelings on. I like characters I didn't think I would like. I like things I didn't think I would enjoy. But overall, condensable. If Kai is the same as this, then yeah.
Although I wonder, like, why do you remake something that was at the end? So, like,
what do you mean?
Animation quality can't be that improved, can it?
And how did they improve the animation quality? Did they literally draw additional frames and add them in?
It's from the ground up. Kai is from the ground up. Yeah, some of the voice actors are even different.
Well, that one I knew that they all redid.
Yeah,
the voice acting and everything. I didn't know that they redrew it from the ground up. I thought they just got the original drawings, the original arts, and then rescanned them or digitally enhanced them or something. Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. There are redrawn scenes in every arc except for the Buu arc of Kai.
Okay. So it didn't update. Okay, because I read the first description and it was like remastered, recut, and I was like, wait, doesn't that mean it was edited? So okay, so apparently they did redo some scenes. It makes it so that Vegeta's hair isn't red.
So they fixed
in the Saiyan saga
that continuity error, but he can still breathe in fucking space, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta do it last time. Yeah, you know what? You do it last time. I'm sleepy. You do it.
I'm sleepy.
I'm sleepy. Just gonna hand it off. Here you fucking go. I don't want to do this shit today. Go.
Last time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z, we found out that there's a dance called the Fusion Dance, and you gotta do the Fusion Dance if you want to get the big boy pants, and the two kids are the only ones that are able to do it, and Goku and Piccolo are gonna teach them how to do it. Goku, unfortunately, is also dead, and his time on planet Earth is up, so he leaves, leaving Piccolo in charge to get the boys back on track to kill Buu, their only defense against this evil monster that has killed the entire planet, and some other stuff happens as well, but that's really all that's important, so we're gonna get to the rest of it this time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z.
Welcome to Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. I'm John.
And I'm Spencer.
And today we're going to be talking about episodes 250 of Dragon Ball Z through 254. I had it.
Nope. 253.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, you're right. I counted bad. So 253. Just cut that out. Starting with... Oh, I don't have the episodes. This one is definitely your job. Actually, should I read the episode titles this time? We should do that in reverse, where you write the come up with an episode title. So episode 250 of Dragon Ball Z, the Japanese... Do you do English title? No, Japanese verse. The Japanese title is... You're kidding, right? The Z sword is broken. The American title is Out from the Broken Sword.
My title is... Nobody but me cares how fucking weird the deck of cards in Dragon Ball Z is.
Because it all right, yeah, we'll get to it. So we start off with Piccolo training the kiddos on the fusion thing, which I again really like Piccolo doing the training thing again. He just falls right into the role and the kids fall right into the receiving information role. It's real good.
He's A, awesome, and
Yes.
B, falls back into the sort of the archetype he was with Gohan when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like the kids start fighting with each other and they're like, I don't want to sync up with him. He's a nerd. I don't remember what they say.
His breath smells like death. No, your breath stinks. They're just being kids about it. And I like that Piccolo is giving them pointers about the fusion technique as if he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Well,
he doesn't.
He kind of does, but he is sort of talking out of his ass because he's
That's
fused
what I mean,
twice.
yeah.
He's the only character in this show that is actually fused up to this point, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
But I guarantee you that Nail wasn't like, okay, we got to align our breathing and now we got to align our energy. Like that didn't happen.
No, Nail was just like, grab my titties, please. And then they became one.
So he doesn't actually know what he's talking about, but he also is the only character that even sort of knows what he's talking about.
All right. Yeah, pass. The rest of the gang is on Piccolo's tower. Now, wait, hang on. I'm sorry. Where's Dende?
He's around. You see him every once in a while, but he doesn't have any lines.
Okay, all right.
Usually in the big group shots, you can see him next to Mr. Popo, but he doesn't. They don't talk.
See, I never even noticed him in these 4 episodes, and a lot of shit takes place on the tower. So you'd think he would say something, but no lines.
He doesn't. I don't think he says a word in these episodes.
No, so.
But yeah, they're all just playing poker outside the tower, which I really do like because they can hear the fusion ha's. Because every time they do the dance, they got to go fusion ha. So they're talking about how annoyed they are with hearing this over and over again as they're playing poker. Like it's so real until they show the fucking cards. It's Krillin versus Master Roshi, basically. And 18 is standing behind Master Roshi, just kind of
this
doing
is
her
fun.
own thing.
This is real fun with 18.
Krillin draws a Joker, but it has Mr. Satan's face because 18 is like trying to communicate to him with her eyes and like gestures trying to get him to I didn't quite understand this scene because poker doesn't work like this, but he's drawing a card for Master Roshi's hand and he draws the Joker and 18's like, no, but I really like the husband wife thing of them conspiring with each other.
Yeah, she's trying to help him cheat and win this poker game against an old man, and Master Roshi. But she
mentions when they're talking about the fusion ha thing, 18's like, yeah, I heard it so much yesterday that I dreamed last night of Puar and Ox King fusing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a random little, it's just fun.
Yeah, when the gang is hanging out and doing nothing and the English writers have a chance to kind of fill that gap, because it's a lot of the time it's just silence, or they're basically repeating what is happening in the moment. The English writers overwrite them with fun dialogue, and it is genuinely entertaining, fun dialogue. Anyway, we now cut to the planet of the Kais, where Gohan is shown to be really kicking ass with the sword. He does the big old spins it around.
He's very good now. Yeah.
Very proficient. And Goku decides, all right, Gohan, you're good enough. Let's test this thing out. Let's see what we can do. And he pulls a rock out of the ground. He says, well, we're going to start with a little one.
It's not a rock. It's a boulder.
He pulls a boulder and it's massive. And he says, we'll start with the little one. And Supreme says, if that's a little one, I don't want to know what a big one is.
And it just slices through like a knife through butter.
He says through not wasabi, tofu in Japanese.
The only thing is the way that it's animated, it does the classic anime thing where like it's struck by the sword and then the boulder remains whole for a second afterward and then it explodes. The only problem is it does that as it's behind Gohan. So somehow the rock was solid, then it was sliced in half, but still together, and somehow made it through all of Gohan before it's separated in half.
Yeah, that actually does not make sense, does it?
It defies physics.
Yeah, and all he did was just a slash, so it's not like he went up and around it or through. Yeah, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Doesn't make any sense. But it looks cool as hell.
Dragon Ball Z lives on that rule of cool, baby. So
Supreme Kai gets in on the game. He's like, okay, well, let's try something more dense. And so he creates this cube. It's like the size of a companion cube, but it's made of
Kachin or Kachinko,
the hardest metal in the universe. And for some reason, they think it's a good idea to throw the hardest metal in the universe at a sword that is not made out of the hardest metal in the universe.
Well, here's what I want to point to is Supreme Kai just fucking summons this and seems to have no problem holding it.
It's awkward because abilities such as this could have come in real handy on Earth when they were trying to prevent Majin Buu.
They could have. They could have been really fucking useful. You put Majin Buu in a fucking cage full of this shit, or like, so he can just do this now. But no, I have to come back to this now. Because this is absurdly strong. The hardest known metal in the universe, and you can just generate it? Why haven't you spent time creating weaponry out of this? Creating armor out of this, creating vehicles, space stations, nuclear moons capable of launching catch-in missiles.
What the fuck is a nuclear moon?
It's exactly what it fucking sounds like.
It's played off for the sake of what is essentially a joke, but it does sort of wreck the entire canon.
God,
but also, Supreme Kai has done nothing beneficial this entire time and continues not to. So
I'm happy Supreme Kai got this power so that Supreme Kai gets to do something.
Yeah, but it ends up being, well, it ends up being the worst thing because as they throw this brick of ammonite or whatever the hell at the sword, the sword hits it and then breaks in half. The blade snaps and Gohan is very shocked.
Everyone is. The reaction faces on Supreme and on Kibito are perfect.
Yeah.
They're incredible.
Gohan says, now it's the Z dagger.
The Z dagger now. And he looks on the bright side. He says, you know what? Maybe it was just about me learning how to use the sword. I feel stronger already. And Supreme Kai gets on board like, yeah, that's probably what it is. The power was inside you the whole time. And then
from the sword, which is nicely embedded in the ground. It's a good little attention to detail.
Yeah.
Births Supreme Kai again, but he's super old this time.
Just don't like that you said births.
Old Supreme Kai is a great character that I remember from my youth, and I did not remember that this is how he came into the show. He is Supreme Kai, but he's hunched over a bit, has a longer face, and a white Hitler mustache.
He does. He has a Hitler stash. He's got the Charlie Chaplin going on, the toothbrush, and he is 15 generations older than Supreme Kai.
Unfathomably old.
Yeah, I can't believe they haven't changed their outfit since then.
No, when you find a style that works, you stick to it.
That's why I still wear black eyeliner, just like I did in high school.
Did you really wear black eyeliner in high school?
Once, and I loved it. And I never did it again because I liked it too much. So I was afraid. I was like, this is awakening a thing in me that I will suppress. Yeah.
That's interesting for a lot of reasons.
Back on Snake Way, Yema's servants are freaking out about how overworked they are.
Oh, gridlock has not gone away.
No.
1.5 million new souls arrive. And the guys, the workers, just want a break.
They do.
There's this weird lore drop where King Yema's like, you two were complaining. You remember before there were any souls where you were just standing around doing nothing, getting paid for it. And I'm like, what the fuck? There was a before the souls where the afterlife still existed? What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, they're getting paid. What do they buy?
Where do they live? Who set this up? Who hired King Yemma? Like, what the fuck? What is going on?
Do they have death bucks?
You just shattered the universe. And then somewhere along the way, somebody just created souls? What?
How did they get to Earth? How did they become people? I don't understand what's happening.
It's very weird. And it's just like a short little joke of a sentence and it's gone.
Yeah.
Also, that's the end of King Yemma. We don't see him again.
He dies forever and then he's gone.
Well, I don't even know. Maybe he's already dead. My whole worldview is turned upside down. Old Supreme Kai explains his origins. I think is he just called Old Kai from now on?
Elder Kai.
Elder Kai. They haven't said that in the episodes that I've heard, but that name does sound familiar.
That's what I know him as, yeah.
Yeah, so he explains that he was tricked by a villain that was not as bad as Majin Buu, but still pretty bad, and he got stuck in the sword. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if the sword was a villain's sword, how did it end up on the Kai's planet stuck in the rock?
How did the legend happen?
Yeah, there's a lot of other questions.
Does it make you feel better that the MacGuffin is not actually a MacGuffin, though?
No. No.
Now you're on board with the MacGuffin? Because
I wanted to see Gohan fight with a sword because, and I know it's not the same Gohan, but because there's this relationship between
Trunks.
Gohan and Trunks, and Trunks used the sword, and that would have been nice. And also, what we're about to get to is that Old Kai, the reason he's so revered is because he can awaken hidden powers within people, and hidden power plus Gohan has been a thing that harkens back all the way to the Saiyan saga. So of course he starts trying to awaken Gohan's power.
Oh my god,
but
yeah.
You could have easily had the sword, like once he mastered it, kind of activate Gohan that way. And it would have been because of his training with the sword and more because of like the work that he put in, instead of some old guy just coming along and saying, I'll awaken your power. All you got to do is stand there. So it feels less earned than I expected. And also swords are cool. And
can't
now
disagree.
We don't get to see it.
Your swords are cool. I do distinctively remember you despising the Z sword, so I'm glad you came around
it's
to
a
it.
Stupid, like, oh, there just happens to be a thing that could kill Majin Buu that we didn't mention up until, like, that part's stupid.
Yeah.
But you could have done it in a way that would have made a lot more sense. The last warrior that fought Majin Buu used the sword and was able to make some progress, but then it was flung off into the heavens. Like, you know, the initial appearance is stupid, but using it as a vehicle to make Gohan stronger and as a tribute to the past of Dragon Ball Z is kind of cool and interesting, and a lot better than an old guy saying, I'm going to do this for you.
But the old guy is funny, though.
But the old guy's not hilarious. That funny.
What?
I remember him being funnier when I was a kid. The amount of content that he has in these episodes are him making maybe the most inappropriate sexual joke in the history of Dragon Ball Z, and then dancing.
Let's get over that.
It.
Let's do that first. Let's just get that out of the way. So, Elder Kai is not going to tell Goku or anybody what his secret power is, because Goku wanted to test how strong he really is. So he shot him in the face with a blast and it knocks him over and he gets all old man upset.
That part was funny.
Good. Yes. Goku sees the similarities between Elder Kai and Master Roshi. And Goku very nonchalantly about this, because the Goku doesn't understand sex or nudie mags or what any of those things are. So Goku just brings it up like a bargaining chip. Oh, what if we get you a real girl with real boobies and a real ass that you can touch?
Well, in the Japanese subtitles, that's what he's saying.
Okay, he's not going to say that in English, no. But in the Japanese subtitles, that is for sure what he says.
Yeah, in English, he just says, we're going to get you a girl to kiss you.
Gohan even says, isn't this sexual harassment?
Yeah.
And Goku like hand waves it away. He's like, no. Women are objects, Gohan. Get that out of your head. But before they even get to the lawsuit, Goku says, I'm going to get you a nudie mag. I'll get you a nudie. I know how you tick. You old men, you're all the fucking same. So I'm going to get you a nudie mag. And this is where the inappropriate joke comes up, because Elder Kai stares into the middle distance and says, no, I could just peep on girls from here. My eyesight's great. And he does. He just stares. He just does.
He says, I can see him playing volleyball. I can see him. Well, in the English dub, he says, Yeah, watching volleyball is what they say in English. In Japanese, he says, I can see them bathing. It's super gross, and it made me feel weird.
That all happens.
That all happens.
That all happens, and then Elder
He agrees to it. Yeah, right? He's like, okay, get me a woman to kiss, because we're in the English version now.
Make sure she has lipstick. Red lipstick. It's important.
It's funny, because he says, make sure she has lipstick. And then very quietly, he's like, well, either way, it doesn't actually matter. So I'll take it either way.
Yeah, whatever. I just want some lips. And
yeah,
it's what is amazing to me is how seriously Goku is just whoring out Bulma, because he immediately points to Bulma.
He doesn't. He immediately points to Videl.
Oh my god! I forgot that happened because that was fucked up.
And Gohan's like, no, but Bulma's okay though.
Right. Yeah.
At least there's like a precedence for.
That's the only reason I'm okay with the suggestion of Bulma's, because there is precedence.
Then Goku's like, fine, we'll use Bulma. She's a little old, but she's got it where it counts.
Oh my god, yeah. And that joke where Bulma is old doesn't stop. It continues into Super, and it's fucked up because Bulma's a fantastic individual and doesn't deserve this at all.
She's not only a great character in her own right, but she always looks great.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one character on the show that consistently updates her hairstyle and outfits and like, puts effort into her appearance.
Yeah, she's drawn amazing. Like,
she's drawn amazing.
Chi-Chi is becoming an old maid by Toriyama Design. And
it's kind of a shame because I think Chi-Chi, she's a fighter. She was in tournaments and stuff. And she also has had snippets of lines where she like mentions helping train Goten and stuff.
I think
like
Chi-Chi is younger than Bulma is.
Yeah, but then as the show progresses, it like she just becomes more and more of this like stay-at-home old maid. Yeah.
She's just an old maid. That's like the perfect way to describe what she becomes, which is unfortunate because, yes, I think Chi-Chi as a character, I don't know which one's stronger, but like
she's more active than Bulma.
Yeah, she should not. I don't know. This whole portrayal of it's been discussed before that Toriyama does not do women service properly. Yeah. He just doesn't. And this is it's worse than I initially felt it was. Now that we're sitting here talking about it, this whole thing is really uncomfortable.
It's played off as a joke, but I don't know.
Misogyny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It just didn't hit me right. Anyway, they cut to back on Kami Tower where they're still playing cards. And it's not just the Joker that's Hercule, but it's all the cards. Or so you think. Because you see Bulma gets a royal flush and they're all Hercule.
All of them are Hercule, which is fantastic. I love Hercule.
I really want a deck of Hercule cards very badly. Okay, then we go back to Elder Kai and he reveals his power. He says, I can make a cat, an ordinary cat, become a lion. I awaken sleeping powers. And I'm going to do it for Gohan because Gohan is the ultimate secret hidden power guy.
Yeah, at least Goku makes a joke in Japanese where he says, that sounds like a power I hear about a lot.
Oh, that's funny. Gohan has had his hidden power awakened at least 3 times. And either it goes back to sleep or there's always another one.
He's got a lazy ass power. And Elder Kai explains that when he begins the dance. And the dance is funny to me. The noises that Elder Kai makes are funny to me, but the funniest thing that sells the whole thing is the music. The weird tootin' music. So fucking perfect. It ties it all into a bow for me.
Yeah, it's not bad. He does basically a rain dance around Goku or around Gohan, and Goku's like, hey, how long is this going to take? And Elder Kai's like, well, the dance takes 5 hours, and then it'll take 20 hours after that. Goku's like, I'm going to go take a nap. And Gohan's just stuck standing there.
For 5 whole hours. And oh, we're getting back into Dragon Ball Z mode because we got another fucking time limit. We had no time limit for 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, what's hilarious is that if you combine the totals of the amount of hours it takes to unlock Gohan's hidden power from right now until his power unlocks is the same amount of time that it took Goku to get to the tournament on Earth all the way until he landed on the Elder Kai's planet.
I guess plus or minus how many hours because Goku used Super Saiyan 3 for that whole rule.
That's true.
Bullshit.
It wasn't even a whole 24. Jeez.
Yeah. And I don't know how many hours. Like, what is time? What is fucking time in DBZ?
Yeah, especially when the creator doesn't want to draw night.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, and then to cap off the episode, cut back to the Kami Tower, and Piccolo and Co. are ready to try the fusion dance for real.
Yeah, they're prepared. It's going to happen. So then we move on to episode 251 of Dragon Ball Z. The Japanese title is The Birth of a Superhuman Warrior. His name is Gotenks. The American English title. Do you say American or English? Depends on how you're feeling.
It depends on what I say. I don't have a.
Okay, all right. The title I know and love is Gotenks is Born.
And my title is 3 Shades of Trunten.
Okay. All right, yeah. Especially on the spot. It's pretty good.
So everybody's going to go watch the fusion dance.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's getting up. They put their cards down. I thought this scene was at the end of the last episode, hence my title. But Oolong is also playing now. He puts down his cards as he runs to go see them do the fusion dance. And the cards that he puts down have Goten and Trunks on them.
Yep.
So the deck that we've seen so far is Hercule and 2 kids that couldn't possibly have been alive long enough to have their photographs taken to be on a printed playing card deck.
Maybe,
it broke me.
Maybe this was a gift from the tournament after the 2 kids played in the kid semifinals, and I'm struggling to try and make this make sense, but
John,
that's all I got.
That was less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah, they have machines in capsules. They can print fast.
That would be cool, though, if you signed up for, like, if you won a tournament or got to a certain point in the tournament, and then at the end, whatever happens, win or lose, you get a free deck of cards. And,
oh, yeah.
And you're on one of them.
Yeah, that I didn't know if it was supposed to be foreshadowing or if it was just
definitely
like
supposed to be like an artsy sort of like,
yeah,
you know, the kids or the high value cards now or whatever. And
yeah, I thought it was cute.
Yeah,
I thought it was cute.
It was cute. It just, because of how much attention the cards have been getting up to this point, it broke me.
So Chi-Chi tries to come up with a new name for her and Bulma's son for a minute. And they try Trunk 10 out, but they can't decide on a name. And so the kids do it. They get everybody credit around them. They do the fusion dance, and Trunks fucks up and points his fingers out when he was supposed to make fists.
There's 3 basic steps to the fusion dance. And I gotta reveal a little secret here. I've studied this extensively because when I was a kid on summer vacation one year, me and a buddy of mine practiced this for like a week until we were able to do the fusion dance in real life.
And what did you become?
Krenzer.
Wait, was it Chris?
It was Chris.
Oh my God, you fucking nerds. It would be Chris. If this stays in, for anybody that doesn't know, Chris is a gigantic nerd as well.
And he's one of my best friends. So step 1, both hands to the left. Well, depending on where you're standing. And then you kind of curve over them like a 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock movement while you're stepping. And then once they're over on the other side of your body, you whip them back to the original side, but this time both hands are in a fist. And then you do the bend over while your hands go from 9 to noon, and you extend your pointer fingers out. And if you've done it right, your pointer fingers will meet your partners, and you'll be arced over to make a rainbow, both of you combined, and you'll fuse. Trunks whips his hands over and has the pointer fingers out already. He's not supposed to do that. So the form was just a little bit off, but everything else was synced up. Their ki, their breathing, everything, they were of one mind. So they fuse, but the fused being emerges and they
create a fusion version of themselves. And it looks like what the end result will look like if that end result was also the Stay Puffed Marshmallow version of that character.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, but I think that even at the time, it wasn't super great because in the Japanese subtitles, Chi-Chi almost instantly says,
I can't love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The fat Gotenks. So they try to rationalize it. They're like, oh, Majin Buu's, a bigger guy. Maybe it's just how all the power is contained. But then
I liked that part.
Yeah, I liked it too. But then Piccolo, notices the mistake, or had noticed the mistake. So he points it out and says, just unfuse. We got to try this again. Gotenks, who I think they've said their name.
They ask, what's your name? They ask him a bunch of questions and Gotenks doesn't answer any of them until what is your name?
Yeah, he's just kind of like, huh?
That's all he does.
But it's kind of clever to do this initial fusion as a flub because it gives the other characters a chance to play surrogate for the audience and ask certain questions about the process and stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of rushing off into a fight, because you only have 30 minutes and then the fusion's over. And so Piccolo's like, well, you screwed it up. Just unfuse. And Gotenks is like, oh, I don't know how. And Piccolo's like, ah, crap. Goku didn't teach us that part. I guess we'll just have to wait a half an hour.
This was confusing for me. Was it confusing for you? Because it basically they say, okay, I guess we'll have to wait half an hour. Then the gang asks a few questions. We get Gotenks. Maybe 20 seconds has passed in real time. And then they're just unfused.
Yeah,
they just unfuse at that moment.
It cuts out that half hour for sure.
Yeah, which I appreciate, but it wasn't communicated very well.
It sucks because they could have easily just like gone to another one of the stories, like go to Majin Buu for a sec, or
Gohan,
whatever.
Hercule.
Like even just for a second to show the dance,
or show the fucking sun, and then it fades to a slightly more left position in the sky.
Yeah,
1
like
or
anything.
2 seconds.
But they literally jump cut from Gotenks to Gotenks and then unfuse.
And they don't remember anything. They don't remember anything from it.
Yeah, that's super important. They have no memory of the actual fusion or what they said or did during the process. And Piccolo's like, you idiots, you got to get this right. But good first try.
But good for, and he gives them the good first try. But that was a good first try. I like that. I like that. I enjoyed it.
It was nice.
So they try it again.
But this time, their fingertips don't quite touch. And so they fuse, but they turn into old Gotenks.
Which was super weird.
Super weird.
I didn't realize
skin and bones and kind of gross.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was supposed to be old until someone said old. I thought he was just emaciated.
Yeah, I thought that too. And in the English version, this is where Chi-Chi says, I can't love this. So they kept the line in, but they moved it to a more like something that could never be a child. Yeah, which I thought was really interesting.
That's one of the things I love doing about this podcast now, with the subtitles on.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
And thank you to whoever suggested we do that.
It was later in the game than it should have been, but it was it's been good fun.
Needed, wanted.
Okay, so they kind of skip over old Gotenks. They were just kind of having fun with the characterization at this point, which I don't really blame them because this is a fun new technique. And if you're trying to get your audience on board and some of them are kids, like maybe this will help them along. But it's also just fun.
We've never seen it before. We've never seen like a Super Saiyan transformation go wrong where the hair grows on their kneecaps or something. Like, and that's what this is.
It's kind of fun having a failure state. I didn't mind it. It is technically filler, but it wasn't like, it was over pretty quick and it didn't bother me at all. So third time's the charm, and you can tell the third time's the charm because the music kicks in. It's like a play off of the Super Saiyan 3 theme, but it is, this time at least, it's very different. It's a little more subdued and like more techno-y, and I liked it a lot.
Yes.
The Gotenks has a theme. They do the dance and the camera's all fancy and it does some artsy shots, so you can tell this time it's actually going to work. And actual Gotenks is born. It's a mix between Goten and Trunks. So he's a kid, but he's like ripped. He's got new clothes. He's got an 8-pack, and his hair is like big black mohawk, and then to fill it out on the sides, a purple.
Really cool. I really like the design of this.
Gotenks' design is my favorite. I think when I was a kid, for sure, he was my favorite character in the show. I was obsessed with the fusion stuff.
Yeah, what he says next is the reason that as a kid I hated him, because I hated all people that were arrogant like this. And then lo and behold, I turned into one of those as an adult. So now I like him.
Bulma and Chi-Chi talk about it as the fusion kind of dies down. It's so mom. But they're like, oh, wow, look at him. He kind of takes after Trunks, doesn't he? The eyes, no, but the nose, yes. Like, it's kind of fun that they're picking all these little personal details. And Gotenks is like, he basically just lifts both hands up and flips everybody off and says, I'm super powerful. I'm going to go. And so he just goes to fight Buu. And Piccolo's like, oh, no, I've lost control of this whole situation.
You little morons. Yeah.
You can see the Saiyan pride coming to the full front. Because it's like, it's a fusion of these two half Saiyans. So like the Saiyan pride also expands exponentially along with their power level.
I was just thinking as I was watching it, this is like a little micro Vegeta, and it's because of this very reason.
It really is.
Yeah.
I also really liked that Gotenks is what happens when you over level a Pokemon, and Piccolo is the Pokemon trainer, and he loses control of being able to command his Pokemon in battle. You a Pokemon fan, John? You get what I'm
No, I've never seen the
talking
show.
about? It's kind of funny. It's like a funny little nod to that canon.
What is Pokemon?
It stands for Pocket Monsters,
Oh,
and it's Japanese shows created in mid-roll shout out.
wow. Okay.
It's time for that special golden age where we talk about the donors of our Patreon, patreon.com/.
DBZ.
EHDBZ,
Always be here for you, buddy.
and honor those that give us the cash.
Is this the part where I send you the list? Because I'm already on it.
Yeah. Those awesome patrons are Spencer Feuerstein, Tyler Hyatt, Oh Noe Zoe, Andrew Winden, Erwin. There's no 01. On the Tales of Nowhere, it's Erwin 01. Artex the Creator, Dan, Eric White, and Lori.
Shoemate.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for providing us with the ability to shout out your name in the middle of the episode and also continue making this fucking dog horse shit.
Why do you keep saying dog horse?
I don't know. I don't know why I do half of the shit I do. It just happens. Anyway,
So Gotenks goes off to fight Buu.
yes, we have a cut to Goku napping on the Kai planet, which is unimportant. I think 2 hours have passed.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing
It's
has
the
changed.
same.
And then Boo blows up a city. He's having fun, doing the Boo thing, being a child, being destructive, destroys some boats. And then out of nowhere, a gigantic gaping hole appears in Boo. And Boo reacts to this by looking down and seeing there's a hole and then just whoop, popping the hole back into existence because it's Majin Buu and damage means nothing. So Gotenks is revealed on top of the sinking ship, just standing there with hands on hips, talking smack on Boo, and I think it's hilarious that probably 500 to 1,000 people are dying beneath his feet.
I know. I'm like, there's a metaphor here for him standing on a sinking ship, right? Like, there's got to be something.
Like, I think it was just a platform to show him off, but under the surface, it's funny as shit.
Anyway, so he calls Boo a doughboy, and I love the way that Boo says doughboy, like he's never heard the word before.
Mm-hmm.
Boo's dialogue in these episodes
much better
worked for me.
I'm starting to come around on Boo. I know the last episode I said I was coming around. This is continuance of that coming aroundness.
I don't know why. They just kind of either weird Stockholm syndroming it, or it is legitimately better written.
I think it is legitimately better written. I think the establishment of what Boo is was dog shit, but now that it is established, they're building off of it really well.
All right, so oh boy, so they just go at it. And Gotenks starts punching Boo and doesn't really do a whole lot until he kicks him in the face. And then he sends Boo flying right into an oil tanker. The oil tanker blows up. And I'm going to have a hard time explaining this next part. The explosion emits from the oil tanker and Gotenks reaches inside of it.
So imagine an explosion and then pausing 2 frames into the explosion. And then that is just what the explosion is now. It's just a persistent
it's like a ball
of
it's so weird.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Grabs Boo by the antennae, pulls him out a little bit, and then whips him around with the explosion encapsulating the rest of his body and sends that flying underwater where Boo lands in a crater underwater, and then Gotenks blasts the crater and that explodes. Like, I guess it makes sense. It doesn't make any sense. But as a visual representation of making Gotenks a more powerful character than we've ever seen before, it is a valid thing to have happen, I guess, because it is so unusual.
Yeah.
And it looks powerful and cool.
I liked it a lot. I super appreciated that this fight is very quick and gets done what it needs to get done. It establishes Gotenks is very strong, capable of beating the shit out of Majin Buu, and also that Majin Buu doesn't give a shit about this damage whatsoever, because from the crater, as Gotenks is floating above it, saying,
I didn't think I'd be able to get through this that quick.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I said I'd bring Piccolo back a body. Oops. Looks like. And then the lower half of Majin Buu raises up. His upper half is totally blasted off. And Majin Buu rebuilds it, as Majin Buu is wont to do.
That's a cool bit of animation too, the regeneration, because it's like his clothes spawn out of his regenerated flesh. It looks really neat.
I know before we said it's cartoony. This time it's not as Looney Tunes and ridiculous.
Still like very animated, which I know, but it is.
Yeah, it's much better. It's played much better. I think it works much better. And then Majin Buu beats the fuck out of Gotenks. Just floors him, blasts him into a wall, and Majin Buu's about to kill Gotenks. And then
a weird thing happens.
Was not expecting this whatsoever. Majin Buu gets hit by something, and I'm like, who the fuck is still... Did Piccolo come save Gotenks? No, it's the Earth Defense Force. Just a line of human tanks and jets coming in, and they all start blasting Majin Buu.
Which I guess there was more, or they came back?
They sent a chopper.
Okay.
Because that's what you do when there's a horrible alien killing everyone. You send a chopper, right? Maybe it was their best men. Send my 2 best men.
They died? Ready everyone else.
Yeah. When my 2 best men can't cut it. Send the hundreds of thousands that we have. Hundreds of thousands in the army. So predictably, Boo is not hurt by this, but gets enraged and screams and creates a massive blast, which craters the entire surrounding area. We cut back to the lookout tower where everybody's kind of standing around doing the sensing thing. The people that can sense energy. And Gotenks lands back on the tower and sheepishly walks over and says, well, I couldn't do it.
He doesn't seem remorseful. He's just like,
embarrassed.
I had to go back to my parent. Embarrassed. That's it.
Yeah. And Piccolo gives him a big old I told you so. Next time you're going to listen to me and you're going to listen to me good. Do you understand that, Trunkton? And Popo goes, it's Gotenks. And Piccolo says, what? Like he screams, what? He barks it.
That was very good.
Solid.
Anyway, and then the narrator kicks in, and normally I don't talk about what the narrator says because it's pointless. But I love one sentence that he said, pumping us up for the next episode, is the old Kai is a moving and a grooving.
Yeah,
I love the narrator character.
He
has another scene that's really interesting in this series of episodes too. They kind of make good use of that guy.
So anyway, we move on to episode 252. The Japanese title is The Final Weapon is Engaged. Satan will save the Earth?
That's so good.
It's really funny.
I love that sentence.
The American title is Unlikely Friendship.
Let's see. My title is...
Can I share my title?
Yeah, please. I need help.
When Lenny Met George.
When Lenny Met George.
You're a lit nerd. I thought you'd get this one.
I kind of get it. It's
of Mice and Men.
Yes, thank you. I was struggling with that. Yeah,
you can use that one. Just say it's that.
Okay. My title is When Larry Met George. John, I don't know if you get that one because it was kind of like a literary deep cut. It's from Of Mice and Men.
Isn't it Lenny, not Larry?
Fuck.
Now you have to keep all of this in. Yeah. Damn it.
It's Charles Dickens, right?
Yeah. No, Emily Post.
Is it Emily Post?
It's John Steinbeck.
What else did he do? Did he do the Transformers movies?
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I hate when good writers go Hollywood, you know? John, I've never been I did this with movies too. When I got into film, I wrote a lot, but I didn't really read a lot. And so like my literary background is a lot of like Stephen King and Michael Crichton and sort of like the pulpy sci-fi people of the 80s, sci-fi and horror. Mm-hmm. And then when I got into movies, when I started filmmaking in college, my major was filmmaking, but my background was, 80s movies, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Terminator, all that shit. And so people would bring up like these actually, the easy one is Citizen Kane. Like these artsy as shit movies. And I'm like, yeah, but I have no like educational background in the classics of anything that I'm interested in. So I never read Steinbeck, even though a buddy of mine in college, his favorite author is John Steinbeck. I don't know. I feel like I have trouble getting into a lot of the classic stuff because the writing style is just so difficult to get into now.
And I love that because it is so weird. And I'm such a jank individual when it comes to things that I'm into that I read. I don't remember if it was called The Jungle or something. It was about the immigrant to the United States in the 1920s that works in the meat factories and it is one of the hardest reads ever. But because it's so hard to sit there and read these books that were written in the 1930s, it's fascinating to me.
Like it gives you something extra out of it.
Yeah, it really draws me in to be able to read that kind of stuff. I mean, I also like Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh yeah, I've enjoyed his stuff.
A lot
before,
of the Rama stuff.
But like I've tried to read, like I really did try to read like A Tale of Two Cities, because my grandfather was really into that like old school literature. I mean, I've tried reading Walden and things like that. It's
hard to get into those sometimes, and some of them you can't. Like The Great Gatsby would never catch
Great
me.
Gatsby's another one.
I tried.
I really wanted to.
Yeah, like you want to enjoy it, but there's something about it that just doesn't. And even some more modern contemporary things, I didn't like reading. Tuesdays with Morrie, I didn't really like reading that one.
Oh yeah, I had to watch the movie for, I want to say it was for like psychology class or something. But I tried reading the book after, and I couldn't do it. Yeah, like I tried reading Dracula, which I thought would be interesting because it's written as like a found footage style book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like journal entries and things, which I really like, sort of first person narrative, but I couldn't do that one either. Like I just didn't stick with it.
Or My Antonia is another one that I just couldn't. It like half got me into it, but I couldn't really get super into it. So I don't blame you for not wanting to read a lot of those things. I do find it interesting that that's your major, but everything is built upon like the 80s stuff.
I know.
And the architecture is from.
I hated people. When I was in college, like my first year, a lot of people said their favorite movie was like Being John Malkovich, and I watched it and I fucking hated it. It's such an artsy piece of shit that doesn't make any goddamn sense and thinks that it's so smart and intelligent and has this huge message to say, and it's just bullshit. Like it's so stupid. And everybody was touting it as like their favorite movie of all time. It's so so I don't get along with the hidden meanings and the thematic imagery and symbolism and all that stuff.
When it feels like the author seems like they think they're smarter than you about it, that's when it feels bad. It's kind of like, you might be right, but you're a dick about it, so I don't give a shit.
And I'm not saying like the old classics. I think I'm just too much of a product of my own time to really enjoy those the way that they were enjoyed at way back then. But there are a lot of artsy movies that are paraded around as like the best of the best in this day and age, and I just I can't get on board.
To be fair, like, okay, another music parallel. That's how I feel about a lot of 50s and 40s music. Like,
really?
I get where that's where a lot of
old
stuff,
Frank,
and like old blues.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. There's only one Frank in music that I know.
Well,
so it was like,
you said old. I said old Frank, and then you said old blues. So I didn't want you to think that Frank was a genre of music.
I don't know a lot about it. That the architecture of where the stuff that I like came from, the metal and stuff, because I pay attention to the 80s stuff that I liked, and because all the shit that I like now is all built on the backs of that, which is all built on the backs of the other stuff. I watched an interview with John Carmack, programming
I
genius.
love that guy.
Yeah, and he discussed that it is important to understand the most basic of all programming languages, things like assembly language, things like BASIC, Visual Basic, because from there you can understand how these newer programming languages, the architecture on top of what existed below, why it functions the way it does in certain ways, and it changes your mode of thinking for those types of creations, that type of coding. And I think probably it would benefit both of us to better study those things that we're missing, because it would change our mode of thinking. I just don't care to do it.
If I forced myself to get into it, would I really get something out of it? I don't know.
That's the thing. Would we get anything out of it? That's when it matters. I don't know. Maybe those brilliant minds can get things out of it that us pretty good but not the best people would be.
I'm okay with that, man. I have long since acknowledged my place in society as maybe slightly above average if I'm lucky.
Right. Like inconsistently awesome.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at too. That's probably why we work out doing this podcast. This is probably
nobody has an ego. We have negative ego.
Well, it's weird because we have both. I've noticed it, and we're both like this. We'll have days where like, I'm the fucking greatest goddamn thing to ever grace this planet ever. And other days we're like, if I died, nobody would know.
That's funny. I think the character we're most like in Dragon Ball Z is Hercule.
Holy shit. Maybe that's why we like him the
Because
most.
his inner thoughts so often call out to the I am a horrible person. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? And outwardly, he's always like, it's funny.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, this episode starts off really stylized.
Yeah. Welcome to the Hercule Spotlight. Starting off with this, like, for no reason, I thought for a second that we were seeing something that had already happened or a horribly tragic event happening through the viewpoint of Buu, like through his eyes, like as he sees the world.
That's exactly what I thought.
Because that's kind of a cool thing that TV shows do sometimes. And you get this really stylized non-Dragon Ball Z kind of animation. It's almost like
kid-like.
It reminded me of Kirby, like the video games of Kirby, like sort of a storybook kind of cutout kind of thing. And it was like really good, but it totally threw me off. Like I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But also it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't set up a story that it's telling. It doesn't set up a question that it will answer. It's just like a scene.
Yeah.
It's not even
a weird moment, and that's it in the future.
It does pay off later, I guess, but like there's no reason anyway.
Yeah.
So you get to see Buu turn more people into candy. Like that's all that happens.
Yeah.
He eats a bunch and he saves some for later, puts it in his pocket.
No, he puts it right in his pants, which is
okay.
I just want to see. He puts it right down the diaper.
He puts the candy in his diaper. There's some cool like visual things again because it's all stylized. But he like turns people into candy, and when they're candy, they have the face that they had, but it's on the candy wrapper, which is kind of fun. And anyway, the transition is amazing. So it shows that, and the narrator's like, Buu is still turning people into candy. It's nuts. And Buu like looks at the camera like he's looking at the narrator almost, and then kind of flies off and just does his thing. And the narrator continues to talk as the camera pans down, and the stylized animation is like cut in a diagonal, and below the stylized stuff is like dark and stormy clouds sort of, and it pans down, and it's a really, like words can't describe it because it's so fucking weird, but it's really cool.
It's excellent. Dragon Ball Z does this a lot, and we talk about almost every time.
It has these artsy moments that are, I guess, because the entertainment is so lowbrow all the time, I actually feel like I understand the artsy stuff when Dragon Ball Z does it versus something that's artsy all the time, whatever. But it makes me feel special, and I appreciate it for that.
Well, and this works super well when it pans down.
It's awesome. And it pans down into what is essentially Trunks's future. Like it's not that, but like environmentally, atmospherically speaking, you get to see a more in-depth, like a better animated version of the world that Trunks left after the androids destroyed everything. Except this time it's our world, and this is the destruction that Buu has brought to our world, which is cool. And I wish that we had seen it a little bit more sprinkled throughout the episode, because I think it would help with the juxtaposition of the destruction that he's bringing and his actual character. You don't get enough of that to really sell it. You just get a moment here and there, but this is the best that it's been in this episode.
Yeah.
You don't even see Buu for the rest of this. Like you see a wanted poster, you know, Buu has his own wanted poster, which is, I don't know why I found that so funny, but I did. But you get a nice look at the world, destroyed cities, refugee camps. It's raining. Like the attention to detail is insane. Some of the roofs of these, you know, tents that they've constructed have pools of water that have formed because of all the rain. People are huddled together, listening to the radio, you know, looking for anything that gives them sign of hope. Buu's on this tirade, but somebody out there might have a special power that's going to save us all, and everybody's getting excited because they're hopeful.
Yeah, got this hope, and it's all grays, and it's terribly dark. It really is just like Trunks' future.
Yeah,
and the radio broadcast states that it's estimated that 4/5 of the world's population has been destroyed. Only 1/5 of the world's population remains,
which is absolutely
every major
nuts.
city on the entire planet has been reduced to ashes.
Yeah,
this has just been continuing to happen, and I know that they've sprinkled in Buu destroying stuff, but it's never been this effective.
I don't know how they could have done it better, because I know that they've been trying. I can look back at the episodes and see, okay, Buu destroys a lot, but it doesn't feel like it led up to this. It still feels like this was a huge jump from the Tenkaichi tournament to 4/5 of the world's population being destroyed. I don't know how they could have done it better. I got nothing this time because I think they tried.
Time. It's time management. Because we don't understand the sense of time as it passes. We don't
because it's been a day.
Yeah. So it's just, if they had managed the time better, which is like asking Toriyama to manage being God better, it's an impossible task that he will never achieve, is what I'm saying. So it's probably as good as it could have possibly been.
And so the radio says Hercule, Satan, the world's savior from Cell, has located himself into an underground bunker where he's been training, and now he's going to come back to the surface, and he's got a plan to defeat Buu and save us all. And everybody's excited, hopeful. You get to see Hercule's bunker, which is crazy sci-fi, like super secure.
He's so strange. He's got armed guards. He walks down a hallway, and
like, I know he's rich, but this makes him seem way too rich.
Well, I wonder if he was recruited by Cat President to be the guy.
Yeah. That's what it seems more like. Yeah, like a governmental.
Right. I was getting
bunker.
Area 51 kind of vibes off this whole thing. Yeah.
He comes out. You get to hear his inner thoughts as everybody's cheering for him. He's got these 2 bowling bags with his name plastered on them. And he says, like, oh, good. This is all it was going to take to give people hope, bring them back from the brink, whatever. So it seems like he's got a good motive, but I don't know what his plan is.
Yeah.
And I feel like he should be a lot more scared on the inside.
He's drunk on his own juice at this point. He is so full of himself. He is the only hope left. So he is full Super Hercule right now. Then we cut to the lookout tower where the kids have split from being Gotenks, and they're both getting...
They're getting treated.
They're being treated by their mothers in the way that their mothers would treat them for injuries. Yeah. Bulma is taking care of Trunks with gauze and like patting alcohol on his cuts. And Chi-Chi is spanking the fuck out of Koten's naked ass. Like,
yep.
You know what you did? And then she starts crying a little bit. You're the only one I have left.
Yep.
It's so incredibly Chi-Chi. So Piccolo then has maybe the best coach discussion.
This is where I really
go for it, please.
This is what the experience with Gohan has transformed him into, sort of vibes.
Yeah. He drops real wisdom. Your fathers came from a place of strength, and battles are not won and lost on the battlefield, but they're decided before a fist is ever thrown. And Trunks decides that's why my father lost, is because he didn't have a good enough plan. Then he like resolves to be better than Vegeta no matter what. And Piccolo puts his hands on their heads and like scooches down to their level and fixes their clothes and gives them encouragement. He
does like a little healing thing with them, which may just in fact have been the clothes beam in retrospect. Now that you've said it, but it was a really nice scene, and I just love when Piccolo gets to be a dad.
These kids don't really know who Piccolo is, and this is their first real interaction with Piccolo as we know Piccolo.
So Hercule arrives at Buu's house, and he's got these 2 little sidekicks, one of which doesn't say anything, and the other one is like a
commander guy,
short, squat police chief of a local town. It's got to be, who's very supportive. And they talk a little bit about the plan, and Hercule's like, oh, I've got a plan in store for Buu. Nice surprise. Bunch of little toys in this bag. It's weird. He faces Buu's house and he's like, Buu, I'm calling you out. You get out here and we're going to have a one-on-one together. And then the cop guy's like, hey, something's wrong with your voice, sir. Let me try while you're getting over this cold. Hey, you asshole, get out of this house. Come down here and fight. And Hercule's like, no. What are you doing? He'll hear you. So I think the joke was that Hercule was talking not loud enough for his voice to carry to the house. But Hercule's voice by itself is always so loud that it didn't land for me at all.
I think the voice actor just didn't realize he was supposed to be quiet.
Yeah.
Because the voice got quieter over time, but it didn't make sense at all until the very end
should have
of it.
been
And like
just a whisper, because it's such a short little joke. Like, you really got to get that to land. And it didn't. I was a little bit more confused.
I was worried at this point because this joke didn't land. I was like, oh shit, this part might suck.
But immediately after, he shoos off the cop guy and they leave him alone. And Hercule's left on his own with his bowling bags, and there's just this huge wide open space between him and Boo's house. So he stealths his way over there, which is like he finds a bush and grabs it and holds it up like a stop sign in front of his face, and just kind of walks up to Boo's house. Be the tree, come on. Which I thought was pretty funny. He sort of tentatively explores Boo's house, and when he figures out that Boo's house is empty, he gets all excited and starts punching it. Like, I'm the best. I scared Boo's off. He gets like a sense of false confidence. And there's a thing with the lizard. And then on the roof, Boo says, "Who are you?" Instantly, Hercule's confidence is sapped completely.
Hercule Satan and Majin Buu are two characters that belong on screen together.
You wouldn't think so. They're maybe the most random pairing. I never would have thought this would happen.
Perfect, though.
But it works really well.
It's so good. And I think it is because we had made mention that Majin Buu's hijinks seem like Dr. Slump shit. Well, now the tone of these scenes are 100% a joke. Over-exaggerated expressions. It's my favorite part of these episodes, I'm pretty sure. Next to the Piccolo conversation, this is really good. So Mr. Satan grovels before Boo. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Boo. I didn't mean to show up at your house, but I brought you a present." He opens up his bag, and inside the bag, you see a series of different objects. And one of them is just a box. And it's a box of the most luxurious chocolates in all the land. He hands them to Majin Buu, who's reluctant at first, because Majin Buu just wants to turn Mr. Hercule or Mr. Satan into chocolate himself. He eats the chocolates, and Majin Buu decides these chocolates are even more delicious than people chocolate. And Hercule in his head is thinking, "You big dumb asshole, those chocolates have more cyanide in them than you would need to kill an ox."
I appreciate that Hercule had some kind of like plan.
He has many plans.
Yeah, he has a lot of things up his sleeve. None of them work.
Not one.
At least he like thought about it. But all of them seem dependent on like ingratiating himself within Boo's inner circle. And I don't know that was a plan to begin with.
Wait, I'm sorry. So you're saying Mr. Satan, who exists off of his charisma, shouldn't have bet on his charisma, the only thing he has? Because that's all he's got.
I just have a really hard time thinking of Hercule being like, "Oh, okay, how can I deal with Majin Buu? I know, I'll make sure that we're friends, and then I'll give him these chocolates, and then I'll give him this Game Boy." And he seems very shocked that Buu is even letting him live this long.
Your explanation in the Mr. Hercule voice,
I know,
was perfect.
It just made sense.
Yeah, it was exactly what it was. So anyway, I love the part where he hands Majin Buu a Game Boy.
And Boo is getting pissed off. He's like, "Video game cheat." And Hercule's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'll find a game that won't cheat on you." And then he's like, "Time to introduce Mr. Boo to Mr. Plastic Explosive."
That cracked me up. I wrote that down.
So
that cracked me up.
It was a great quote. And he actually detonates it, and it explodes. And of course, Hercule's prematurely celebratory.
Because we got the cloud of smoke.
Hercule doesn't know the cloud of smoke rule. And Boo steps out, and he's like, "I love when video game blow up."
And Satan says, "Wow, that's the part most people would hate." Which is all of his lines are so good in this. It's so fucking funny. So Majin Buu says, "Boo like you. Boo's gonna make you into his servant." And then fishes the candy that he saved from the beginning out of his pants and hands it to Mr. Satan. "Do you want some human candy?" And Mr. Satan goes, wow, I love human candy. It tastes delicious. It's not too sweet. It's just perfect." And Majin Buu like looks to the right or something, and he immediately spits them out. I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God he didn't actually eat it.
I do like that as much experience as Hercule has having his ego stroked, he is so prepared for putting the shoe on the other foot and trying his damnedest to stroke the ego of this tyrannical monster in order to save his own skin. But I also think a little bit he's thinking of the rest of the world too.
I think we decided that this character with the heart of silver, when shit gets really tough, he actually does the right thing.
Yeah. And so they have fun adventures together in Boo's house. Hercule has Boo pose for a photo. He has him lie down on the ground, and then Hercule stands over him as if he's defeated him. And the picture snaps. So he can use that for the front page of a newspaper, which is kind of funny. We cut to 5 hours later at the planet of the Kais.
Yeah.
Goku naps under a tree. There's some nice shadow work on his face. You can see like the branches and the leaves from the tree above. The ceremony finishes and Gohan like finally gets to relax. Old Kai sits down and says like, okay, 20 hours to go until you actually feel something. But the dancing part is over now. And I love that the whole point of this training, this is actually something that I legitimately like about it, is that Gohan has to do nothing. And it's portrayed the best where Goku's like, oh, I'm so bored. I can't believe that he has to do that. Like, if old Kai had picked Goku, I don't think Goku would have been able to do it.
No.
Like, I don't think he would have been able to sit still long enough. Like, Gohan is the only one with enough like
discipline
where he can actually meditate and like sit still and just focus on it, on his energy, which is what the old Kai tells him to do, for 20 hours while these powers unlock. Like, it would not have worked on Goku.
You know where it comes from?
Where?
From Piccolo.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Piccolo being fantastic.
Are you ready for this?
What is this?
Last episode.
Yeah, I am, because we're on
the season.
It is the final episode of the, what is this arc called?
I don't know. I call it the Fusion Saga. I thought that a different set of episodes were included in the season, so that's not like technically right. I guess it should be called the Majin Buu Saga.
Okay.
Even though that's not technically right. The season 8 and 9 kind of blend together. It's a very long arc. Like, this episode does not feel like a season finale.
It's real weird, but we only have like 8 or 9 episodes of this podcast left to do.
I think once you include all of our bonus shit, it's going to be around like 12 or so. But yeah, we're getting there.
Now we're on to episode 253. The Japanese title is Saishu. No, I'm not even going to try. I started and I was like, nah,
it's a good idea. It's a fun bit, but no, that's not what I have written down.
I can try, but the thing is,
you're going to mangle it.
I'm going to absolutely mangle it. And then somebody's going to say it sounds racist. And so I just don't even want to.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Saishu Haiki Shido. Satan Wachikyo Osuku. Osuku? The final weapon is engaged. Satan will save the earth.
That's not the right episode.
That's the last episode. That's the I did the wrong episode. Okay, episode 253. Korosu no Yameta.
The Japanese title's very good for this one. I don't know if you should try to pronounce it Japanese because it's very good.
Right. The Japanese title is I've Stopped Killing. Majin Buu's Good Boy Declaration. The American title is I Kill No More.
My title is Grandma and Grandpa's Fun Day Out.
That's really good. That's fucked up, but that's really good. Because this episode is kind of
fucked up. It caught me incredibly off guard. Like for the end of the season, and all of the content is so tonally dissonant from what we've seen up until this point. It's violent and visceral in a way. It's not that bad, but compared to what we've seen, it's like it's taking all this goofy, cartoony destruction, 4/5 of the Earth's population, but we've seen it through the eyes of a kid going, ha ha, Boo explode. We don't actually see the flesh ripped from the skeletons and stuff. And this is just so much more human and real and violent that it's more disturbing. Like, I did not feel good watching this episode.
And I love that for an end of season episode. Let's talk about it. So we start on Elder Kai's planet. We have a cute little thing where Elder Kai's asleep and Gohan calls him out on it. But Elder Kai's like, it merely appears that I'm sleeping. I'm actually, I don't know what voice that is. It doesn't sound like him at all.
That was weird.
There's a joke where Gohan says, I don't care who you are. You don't have a bubble on your nose if you're awake.
Yeah, that was a fun, and that's not in the subtitles. That's like a
English.
That's an American dig at an anime tradition of showing characters that are asleep with a snot bubble. Yeah,
very funny.
It's
very
great.
Good. Piccolo is telling the kids, this time we're going to do it for real. You're going to turn into Super Saiyans first. You're going to fuse, and then we're going to check your power levels. We're going to run the scanner over you, make sure you're up to par, and then we'll have you kill Majin Buu. And there's a cute little minor recap of what happened last time. And this is maybe the most perfect flashback recap that has ever been in Dragon Ball Z. Because Piccolo asks, do you remember what happened last time you went out there and you weren't Super Saiyans? And it shows maybe 4 seconds of them getting the shit beat out of them.
Okay,
And it speeds up the footage even to like get it along faster. And it is actually the kids remembering what happened last time. He introduces that we're about to go into a flashback. Family Guy could learn from how good this is.
You know what sucks though?
Oh.
Canonically speaking, they
can't remember. It's true. I didn't think about that till right now. So
took less than an episode to break your own damn rule. But I liked it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, they go Super Saiyan and they do the fusion dance again. Weird thing. I thought they were going to bring back Gotenks' theme, but from what I can tell, it was exactly the Super Saiyan 3 theme. And it's cool. It works really well here because like this fusion is a big deal and it literally blows everyone away. Like you can see the power coming off of this character through the wind that is blowing through the other character's hair. It's a sight to behold. So it deserves this kind of big theme. But it feels like a reuse of the Super Saiyan 3 theme, at least in the American soundtrack, which Gotenks has a theme.
He does have a theme, and I'm not sure. I would need to listen to both of them back to back. I don't know if at this point they're just using it because it's a badass theme, and it's like new power being born in music form. Maybe they are 2 very different themes, and they just use different notes. I don't know. I'd have to listen to them. I feel like they're different, but I can't tell you exactly why.
It's weird.
Different.
These songs are the same. I know that they say they're different, but I just feel like they have different notes.
Well, anyway, now we get to the title, your title of our episode. So if you want to explain the wonderful situation with this day out.
I don't love when shows do this. Sometimes, like in a Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul situation, it can pull it off very, very well. Dragon Ball Z tries its hand at something that it hasn't done for a while, which is introduce characters that have no bearing on the plot, have never been seen before, and plays out their little story unrelated to anything else that's going on and slowly ties them into the plot at large.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a couple, like an old couple, grandma, grandpa kind of couple. They got boxes full of food. They're evacuating the city, trying to find somewhere safe to lay low for Majin Buu. Their grandkids have already gone and are safe, and they're hoping to meet up with them later, whatever. And then all of a sudden, there's just this crosshair on the old lady, and you see this Australian guy and Schmitty. I honestly don't know what their names are, but I think he calls him Schmitty.
Well, Schmitty, if he doesn't, Schmitty's perfect either way.
Yeah, I was so convinced that Dragon Ball Z wouldn't kill an old couple that I legitimately was shocked when the gun goes off and the old lady falls to the ground, and you get to see the headshot. Basically, I mean, it's not gory or anything, but like it happens, and this is a kid's show, and it's very obvious that she just got shot in the head with a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, the shooter, kind of explains to his sidekick Schmitty, like, hey, Majin Buu's killing everybody. Why can't I? I just like it, it's fun.
I've always wanted to hunt humans.
Yeah, I was kind of enraptured in the Japanese subtitles. So like between the English dub and the Japanese, I'm not sure which is the more truthful to the character, but essentially he's a psychopath that enjoys murder. Why not? It's the end of the world. Let's do it. So for no reason other than they're there, the main shooter guy's like, hey, give it a try, Schmitty. And so Schmitty seems a little bit more hesitant and targets the old guy, as the old guy, like on the road, is crying, sobbing over his dead wife who's just there.
Mm-hmm.
And he fires off a shot and the old guy goes down too. I can't believe we're talking about Dragon Ball Z.
I know.
They talk about, oh yeah, that did feel good. Come on, let's go into town and kill some more people. As the most horrible shot in the entire show,
mm-hmm.
the dying old man, this shot from above where you can see their corpses, dying old man crawls over and puts his hand on his dead wife's hand so that they can embrace each other while they die.
Mm-hmm.
There's no narration. There's no dialogue. It's pure animation, an animation storytelling moment. And it's so disturbing because it's so unpowerful, unmagical.
It's raw. It's
so
just
real.
It is just this micro moment of a story that occurs amongst everything else we've been watching with the Kais and with Buu and with the cartoon shit and with Fusion, with the Super Saiyan 3, the Z Sword. None of that matters to these little people's story. And then the psychopaths just drive away.
Yep.
The most jarring part for me was the cut back to Piccolo and Goten. Because this moment is so far removed from everything that we've experienced. To cut back to Piccolo and Goten, my brain was like, holy shit, is this in the Dragon Ball Z universe? Like, I forgot what I was watching almost.
Absolutely insane moment.
A lot of the time, they'll have a weird moment like this, like the intro of Cell where the streets were all dark, but there will be a character that we know there to remind us it's still Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
We don't get that here at all. I kept expecting Majin Buu to show up and kill these guys, or Gotenks to show up, like something.
Or Piccolo, like on his way. Yeah,
but nope. You said like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul does this, and I can think of instances in those shows where they totally do that, and then bring it back around to that. This is why we had the little fun time with the 50% off guys in Better Call Saul or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But this and this almost does it, but like in almost the worst way.
It doesn't quite work for me.
It's too happenstancey, I guess.
Yeah, which is why it doesn't work for me as a season finale episode, which I know in the Japanese it wasn't. So, I got to forgive it for that, but it's just odd. So anyway, we cut back to Piccolo, who after Gotenks fused as a Super Saiyan, super powerful, flew off again. Who would have guessed? He does a lot of cool little stunts.
Spirals down the lookout.
I liked a lot of the animation. It gave a sense of character to Gotenks, which I think is needed because he's just sort of
like a new character. He literally is a completely different character than either Trunks or, and I don't think we talked about that a lot, but he's literally a different being.
Well, there's not a lot of time. He has like 5 lines up to this point.
That's true. There's not a lot of characterization, but
I think it will come, but it's sort of a quick introduction of the character. But anyway, so you get to see a lot of his personality through the animation, which I actually liked a lot.
Yeah.
Goes through the ocean, flies around the earth like 8 times, which I thought was a little much, but whatever. And he goes through the desert and kind of kicks up all this sand. Like, he is flying differently than any other Dragon Ball Z character we've seen up to this point. He finds a spot in the desert. He stops. He's like, oh, I guess I was going a little too fast for Piccolo. Guess I'll take a break here. And then Piccolo finally shows up later. Piccolo's so out of breath, and Gotenks isn't even like winded at all, which I thought was a nice touch. Piccolo's like, listen, you have half an hour, you idiots. We can't screw around like this. We can't waste time. We got to go after Buu. And Gotenks is like, you're right. Bye. I'm going to go after Buu. Stop wasting time. And Piccolo's like, oh, God, this is a disaster. They only have 1 minute left in their fusion.
Yeah, which means it took Piccolo 29 minutes to catch up to where Gotenks was.
Yeah.
Piccolo in Japanese also calls him an impossible jackass.
That's a great insult. That's fantastic.
The perfect way to describe how Gotenks is acting towards Piccolo right now. The kids arrive at Majin Buu's house, and my second favorite joke of all these episodes happened where Gotenks calls out, all right, Majin Buu, come out here and I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And then they split. And Majin Buu calls out from the house, who's interrupting Buu's reading time? Majin Buu is an avid reader, I guess.
Well, Hercule's reading him a book about like war and an account of like this guy getting sent.
This is important.
Sending his squad to death.
It is
and
plot
Buu
relevant.
just like claps his hands and claps his feet. He's so happy to hear about people dying.
Buu liked joke books.
Buu calls out to Goten and Trunks, who are unfused now, and they get scared and fly away. I don't know if the show says anything, but if I remember correctly, there's like an hour period that has to happen between fusion dances.
Is there? Because they just immediately unfuse and then refuse when they fucked up their fusion dance. So maybe that's a rule they come up with later.
I don't know. Well, and maybe it was one of those like time cuts again.
Oh, yeah, because we don't know how long that time was.
Yeah, because I don't know why in this situation they wouldn't just fusion dance again. Like, there's no reason to run away. But I feel like they introduced like an hour-long cooldown period at some point, because that
I don't remember.
It stuck in my mind when I was watching this, so I don't know where I got it from, but it was there.
You liked all the fusion stuff way more than I did, so you're probably right. It probably comes up at some point, but I can't remember.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
And if not, then Toriyama, feel free to steal my ideas.
Please. Please.
There's this weird part where Buu is like, I'm gonna go kill it again. And Hercule's like, okay, Boo, I'll stay here and make you macaroni and cheese and whatever you like. And you'll have dinner when you come back. And Boo flies off and Hercule's like, that fucking bastard, I'm going to kill him. So he plants dynamite because he has this giant, like
a bouquet.
It's a bouquet of dynamite.
It's so many sticks.
It's so many. And he plants it and he's like, okay, I'm gonna blow him up. Then it cuts to Murder Guy and Schmitty, and Murder Guy and Schmitty are just decimating people. They're playing Grand Theft Auto.
They are.
That's
what it is.
That's the realization that I came to, is they're driving through a city in a car and then the other guy's gunning down.
And I think Schmitty mentions that they're really close to Majin Buu's house. They should watch out. Because apparently just everybody knows where Majin Buu lives. I don't know where the fuck they all...
I know, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Whatever, anyway. So he says we should maybe keep it down. And then Murder Guy goes, wait, what if we just go murder Majin Buu? I'm Murder Guy. So they decide to do that. Next, we cut to Majin Buu coming back to his house. And Hercule's like, oh, wow, you came back really soon, Majin Buu. What's... And then he notices Majin Buu is holding a puppy. And Majin Buu says to Hercule, puppy wasn't scared of me, whatever. I don't. It's a Mickey Mouse voice. I can't do
I know.
Majin Buu.
I really do like, and I wish that I did a better Majin Buu voice, but like I do like these scenes because of his dialogue. Like,
yeah,
the dog wasn't scared of me. It didn't run away. And Hercule's like, yeah, that's because its leg's broken. It's injured. We need to fix it. And so Boo's like, okay, I'll fix it, and then it'll run away from me and be scared. Like, he's excited at that prospect. So he heals it.
Which stuns Hercule, by the way. Hercule has never seen Majin Buu do anything but destroy shit. And so to watch Majin Buu heal the puppy, I can't even imagine what's going on in Hercule's mind at this point. And understandably, the puppy now loves Majin Buu. And Hercule explains to Majin Buu, well, it loves you now. Now you're its best friend because you just saved its life. You fixed its leg. It wants to play games with you. And so Majin Buu has like this angry face because he doesn't understand what's happening this whole time and starts running just in a line. And the puppy chases after her and is barking and tail wagging, tongue out, and smiley. Majin Buu's starting to understand, get into it a little bit.
Hercule says, oh yeah, he's your best friend. Boo's like, puppy friend and Hercule friend? Like, he's so excited to have multiple friends. Hercule decides to go get dog food for the puppy to eat because Boo tries to feed him chocolate.
Hercule asks why Boo wants to murder everyone first. This is important.
Ah, okay. That's true.
So Hercule asks, how come Majin Buu wants to murder everyone? And maybe this happens after. You might be right. Hercule asks, why is it that you murder everyone? And Majin Buu says, well, Bibbidi told me to murder and Bobbidi told me to destroy. And so that's what I like doing. And Hercule's like, you realize you don't have to do those things. And Boo gets kind of intense in Hercule's face and says, is killing people bad? Like, literally does not understand that what he has been doing this whole time has been genociding the planet. Majin Buu was designed to obey. The end. Hercule's like, yeah, that's a pretty bad thing. And then Majin Buu just decides, okay, I won't kill things now. And that's what he says. Okay, Boo, no murder anymore.
See, I think that's a really interesting line of logic. I wish that the show had done a little bit more to show Boo as a blank slate, to show that he has no concept of morality at all. And you probably would have had to introduce a few like random pointless things throughout his time with Bobbidi.
Yeah, why Boo do this thing?
Could be something as simple as like wearing clothes or something like that. Because he is literally a being that has no prior knowledge of this universe or whatever. Because I never got the idea of Boo as a blank slate. Like,
yeah, me neither. Not until this moment. And then I kind of got it.
It
but
makes
there was
sense.
Yeah, but it like makes sense in a roundabout. There was no real groundwork laid kind of way.
Like, there's nothing that contradicts it that came before. But it really felt like he liked doing evil for the sake of it.
The big thing for me is his turn on a dime, which, again, makes sense for the character because that's basically how Majin Buu is. But for Majin Buu to out of nowhere go from killing 4/5 of the entire world's population to just deciding because Hercule said so in one day killing is bad that, okay, Boo kill no more. That's a big fucking decision.
I know. I kind of wish that Hercule would have put his life on the line and said like, well, if you keep killing, I guess we can't be friends anymore.
Something. Well,
and then Boo would have been like, oh, but Boo like having friends. Okay, Boo no kill anymore. Like something that gives stakes to Hercule as a character and a reason for Boo to make the decision that hasn't happened to him before because he hasn't been treated like a person.
This feels weird. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel like they fucked up somehow.
Just odd.
But it's just real sudden. It's sudden.
All that happens. Hercule gets dog food. As the dog is enjoying his meal, Boo is eating the dog food and he doesn't like it. I thought that was funny. Then all that stuff happens and they start playing fetch with the dog, throwing the ball around, and it's kind of fun. Then you see the crosshairs again.
Mm-hmm.
And Schmitty and Murder Guy in the distance with their rifle. And I'm like, no way. No way they're going to kill a dog. Especially because Schmitty and Murder Guy has specifically said we're going to go get the
hunt
jump.
Humans and
we're going to surprise Majin Buu and kill him. This is not surprising Majin Buu. This is making your position known and obvious to the most genocidal being on the entire planet in the entire planet's history. So it seems like a bad idea to shoot a random dog before Majin Buu himself. But they decide to do it, and they shoot the dog.
It's dark too. Like the fucking...
like it's the bullet goes through. There's blood. You see, like it doesn't pull any punches. Like when the grandma got shot, it sort of pulled punches. It moved
a little bit,
things in the way, so you didn't see the full brunt of it. No. If I was a 5-year-old kid watching this dog being murdered, I think it would affect me. Like that's how bad it was. I don't know how they censored it on like fucking Toonami or whatever, but this was pretty bad.
They had to have taken away the blood. That's probably what they did. They probably took away the blood. It
still has a hole ripping through a dog. Like it's pretty bad.
I'm not saying it's good. Just that's the only thing they could have did because this is a huge plot point. They have to show it. Murder Guy, like I said, is the perfect name for this guy because there's no fucking reason for him to shoot this dog.
I know.
Other than he is genuinely a psychopath, and that's it.
I wish they would have given more to Hercule's character. I almost wish they would have shot Hercule.
Oh, that could have been interesting.
Because it would have felt more emotionally poignant and also less visceral.
I felt it was pretty emotionally poignant when they shot the dog, but that's because I love dogs.
But it's cheating though, because the dog
because it's putting down innocence, and that's of course is cheating. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly, yeah. Because everybody loves dogs. It's not this dog, it's any dog.
It's any dog. Like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. This episode ends with Majin Buu looking at the dead dog and like for the very first time ever having a face of I don't even know what the face is. It's like remorse or sadness or something.
It's legitimate. It's like John Wick face. Like you have taken something from me that actually meant something to me. Like Boo has never experienced this form of loss before.
Right.
Which who knows what's going to happen to a being that is already this genocidal. But we'll find out next time on Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z.
I just have to tell y'all out here, it's fun being in a Zoom call with the guy that does that at the end of our episodes. I feel like I'm next to fame here. It's really fun.
Oh wow. I don't know why, because like you can see the gears turning in my head.
No, it's more just like for me, that has become one of the calling cards of our podcast is that we'll find out next time. And so to watch you do it live every single time, it's a treat.
I'm happy that I can be the human candy to your enjoyment of this podcast.
You fucking ruined it. Jesus Christ. So awful.
Do you think that Boo's human candy tastes any different than actual candy? Or what is it like when you know that what you're eating is snail that makes escargot taste just a little weirder? You know what I mean?
Maybe there's a psychological effect because that kid that drank the milk didn't seem to give a fuck. So
that was dark too. This man, I know what I just said about this episode being jarring, but if it had followed the thread of like Boo's childlike actions being extra dark, like if it had done that just a couple more times, it would have felt more in line with the rest of the season. And I think it would have helped.
what's interesting is it's not even the darkness of his childlike actions. It is just the darkness of humanity here. Murder Guy's darkness is purely human. It has nothing to do with Buu's childlike behavior. It's entirely, and it's very dark. It's fucking weird. Thanks for listening to Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z. You might hate the show. He knows that you're listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, go ahead and let us know. Send us an email, mail, at ehdbz.com. You can also send us a voicemail or a text message at 385-DARE-1-OX.
Oh, you should. Next episode is going to be another mailbag, and we're trying to get Eric on this time. I think we've got like 1 or 2 questions for him, but if we can get a couple more, that would really clinch it.
Please,
so
we'd appreciate
if you've got questions for Eric, it doesn't have to be about this saga, but just like whatever, doesn't matter. Ask him what size shoes he wears.
Yeah, spend time just right now with your phone. If you're listening to us on your phone, you probably is, unless you're driving.
Probably is.
I don't know why I said is. I'm falling asleep here. Probably are. Just you pull out your text message device, type in 385-327-3169. It's 385-327-3169. 385-327-3169. There. And then just a question for Eric. Any question. First thing on your mind. Because we want to get him on here. We want to have him interact with y'all for the first time. And I think having him interact with all of you and understand how important he is to the whole process to you will help to maybe get him on more regularly. If you enjoy Eric Hates Dragon Ball Z, you want to see more entertainment from our team, you can check out the Tales of Nowhere podcast. It's Man, anybody who's listened this far has definitely heard us say all this shit already,
I know.
right?
It's like,
do we just
there's
start?
no way any new people are going to listen to, like, for the first time on this episode and be like, oh, I wonder if they have a genre-bending RPG podcast.
It features one cast of characters, multiple real sets in universes. Yeah. Music's by me. I'm Burn7 on SoundCloud. And give us con suggestions. I don't know. I would like to take this time to thank every single member of our Patreon. Patreon.com/GHDBZ. Those wonderful individuals are Devin, Tinny, Erwin, Oh No Zoe, Eric White, Vasco Sapinto, Gunny Bawa, Andrew Winden, Tyler Hyatt, Croy Keener, Artex the Creator, Lori, CJ Collins. You look like you're about to say something. Are you going to say something?
No, I'm trying to think of a pun.
Oh, okay. CJ Collins is the last one. CJ Collins, if I didn't say it before. Jeffrey Grimm. Hearst ran out of gas. Spencer Fwashstein. Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, that's a fun little twist. Let's say their name's wrong on purpose.
Let's say everybody's name wrong on purpose. And then, how do you pronounce shoemate?